What's up, everybody? Tyson Roush, Let's Talk Jets. Hope everybody's having an excellent week. The weather in New Jersey's been in the 50s, which is nice. Hopefully 60s next week, which is good for running, for those of you that run out there. Thank you so much to everybody who's been supporting my fundraiser. I greatly appreciate it. As the Jets headed into free agency, there was so much anticipation as nobody knew what to expect from Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn. Would they be like the John Idzik regime where he was kind of, conservative, maybe borderline cheap, didn't really offer up many contracts, relied on the draft? Would you be like Mike Maccagnan, who spent big in free agency, chased a lot of names, gave out a lot of big contracts and bad ones? Or would they be like Joe Douglas, a little more calculated, where he spent big, but also tried to work on depth? And the first thing I'll say is this. I give this regime a lot of credit as there's absolutely no leaks. Nobody has any idea of who they're interested in, who they're bringing in, which is a refreshing change. That was pivotal. I mean, that was crucial for this organization where it's been they've been a mess. So that's the first good thing. The second thing is they have to decipher what actually Joe Douglas handed over to them, where, there's a lot of bad contracts, bad players. So you got to weed out your dead cap. You got to figure out how you want to handle things, evaluate who on this current roster can fit in your system, and then move forward. In terms of the contracts, people right now are labeling the Jets bargain shoppers and everything else. And I think that's a little bit unfair in the first 3 or 4 days of free agency. This is a long process where there is another swing of free agency. A lot of guys are getting cut. You pivot there. You have the draft. Then you have June moves, and then you have going into training camp. So this is far from a complete roster. So to overreact now is kind of ridiculous. I think you're seeing a lot of youth added, speed, guys that are heading into the prime, guys that are, have a chip on their shoulder, which is a good thing. You need an influx of talent. You need an influx of hungry players. You need an influx of guys that love the game of football. This is how you change your culture. Guys that are competing day in and day out to either win a spot in the roster or win a starting spot. So that's an exciting part of it. The one thing you kind of have a little bit of concern is you want to see more pieces at certain positions, and you can't say to everything, well, we'll address it in the draft. The Jets don't have 15 picks in the first 50. You have, 3 in the top, 75 or whatever it is, but you have holes at crucial positions that if you've been a fan for a long time in the Jets are kind of concerning to you. And for me, it's all about the offense. And, once they released Davante Adams, which I thought was the right decision, right now you have Garrett Wilson. Allen Lazard's still on the team, which is surprising to me. I figured he'd be a cap cut, a cap casualty. But after that, you have nothing. Malachi Corley is unproven. You have Irv Charles, Gibson. You need legitimate pass catchers. And the one thing that I want is you're bringing in Justin Fields. You want to give him as many assets as possible to be as good as possible. And a lot of the contracts that have been handed out over the last 2 days with experienced wide receivers weren't very expensive. So I'm hoping the Jets aren't being a little bit arrogant here and say, we can draft some guys, because a lot of rookie receivers don't contribute automatically, week one or year one. It takes time to develop. And the last thing you want is Justin Fields dropping back to pass, Garrett Wilson double team, or God forbid Garrett Wilson gets hurt and they have absolutely nothing on offense. So then you look at tight end position, completely barren, where you have Ruckert and that's it. So to me, again, as of this video, Conklin hasn't signed anywhere, maybe he has, but tight end position is an enormous hole for the Jets. So you look at the offense, you feel comfortable about the backfield, and the 4/5 the offensive line, that you have huge holes at tight end, wide receiver, and you need a right tackle. So I'm really interested to see how they approach this. Again, it's too early to panic, but I want, while you're rebuilding and regrouping, you need to have legitimate pieces in place to succeed. I know the Jets want to compete this year. You can't compete with one playmaker. You have to be able to spread it around with guys that you can rely on. So again, we'll see what happens. I'm curious to see, there's a lot of veteran players still out there, but they may not fit the mold. Like, it seems like the Jets aren't going over 29 years old, 30 years old. They're trying to keep everybody younger than that, which is fine. But then you're going to put a lot of pressure on those first 2 or 3 draft picks to hit it. Like right now, the way the Jets are currently constructed, you have to say you take a tight end, you take Tyler Warren, you have to take a playmaker at pick 7 and a playmaker in the second round. You have no choice. And then you got to figure out how do you handle right tackle. Or the first 3 picks have got to be receiver, tight end, right tackle. In which you can say that's fine. You still need safety help. You need defensive tackle help. Like, there's a lot of holes. And I understand you can't do everything in year one, but you can get very good role players. You can get those. You got to ace the mid-tier free agents. And that's where Joe Douglas failed. That's where a lot of Jets general managers failed, where you got to get the mid-tier guys that become good special teams players, and then they evolve over time into quality starters. So all the narratives now, well, Jets are bargain shopping. It's cute. I mean, if the Jets spent a lot, it'd be haphazard, be like they're being irresponsible. If the Jets don't spend it all, they'd be called cheap. They're being called now bargain bin shopping. So there's a long way to go, but I hope they make the offense a priority to add playmakers, quality guys that can contribute year one. Talk to you guys later.